Evaluación de la
Evaluation of the implementation of the Madrid Protocol in America Latina. Recent experiences.
Rafael Atab,
Rafael Atab, Dannemann, Siemsen, Brazil. Sofía, Covarrubias en compañía, Chile.
Alfredo Rendón, Instituto Mexicano de la Propiedad Industrial, IMPI, México. Moderador, Jorge Chávarro, Cavelier Abogados, Colombia.
Aló.
Very good morning, everybody. Welcome.
Para tratar de hacer todo con
And to try and be on time, we are starting on time. Thank you very much for
la invitación
accepting this invitation to this workshop
que es muy
related to a very important topic for all of our Latin American countries, the Madrid Protocol.
esta actividad, la
So we call this activity
evaluación del protocolo
Evaluation of the Implementation of the Madrid Protocol in Latin America
reciente.
and Recent Experiences.
Vamos a enfocar
For this, we are going to be focusing specifically in 3 countries:
México,
Mexico,
Chile
Chile,
y Brasil.
and Brazil.
La importancia
The importance
del
is
subcontinente latinoamericano
that
en el
it comes to our American subcontinent in the 21st century, the Madrid Protocol. Ever since last century,
única y exclusiva
we had it exclusively for Cuba, and everyone in this side of the world saw
protocolo de Madrid
that the Madrid Protocol in Latin America, it was Cuban, it was a Cuban concept only in Cuba, and it worked relatively good. All of a sudden, then in the 21st century, you see other countries that started being added, starting with the US. And today, in the year of 2020, we have Canada, the US,
ya
Mexico, 3 big countries already, on top of Cuba. We also have Colombia, Trinidad and Tobago, and Brazil.
Entonces es una realidad hoy en día
So,
lo de Madrid.
the Madrid Protocol is real.
¿En qué momento llegue a formar parte de la legislación de los
What time is going to be a part of the other countries in Latin America? We don't know.
relativa certeza y
Some of them are almost sure, and this is why Chile is here, because next year they are going to have the inauguration within their legislation, the Madrid Protocol. So, without any further ado,
habrá
I give the floor to Alfredo Rendón.
licenciado Rendón tiene una larga trayectoria en propiedad industrial, más de 25 años
He has been working for over 25 years
de propiedad
in protection of industry protection. He's worked in the protection of patents, of brands, intellectual property, and previously as the division director for judicial matters in the IMPI since 1994.
experiencia internacional
He has also vast experience, international experience in international property. He's worked in negotiations of the commerce treaty with Mexico and US and Canada,
tratado
the modernization of the treaty with the European Union,
Pacífico
and the Treaty of the Trans-Pacific Association, among others. He has represented Mexico in the World Organization for Intellectual Property, and currently he is the president of the Permanent Committee about the brand rights, industrial designs, and geographic indications. And I am a witness, I am a in-person witness and virtual witness of the great work,
de
the great leadership of Mexico by the hand of Mr. Rendón,
poder
handling all of the threats of power
allá en Ginebra
that you have there in Ginebra with the representation of all of the countries. My biggest respect and recognition to you for this work. Alfredo Rendón
en muchos países
has given conferences in many countries on top of Mexico, and he's been a professor.
Derecho en la Universidad Tecnológica de México
He is an attorney graduate
e Industrial de la Universidad Panamericana.
from the Universidad Panamericana, and he has a master's in business administration from Universidad Interamericana para el Desarrollo. The floor is yours.
Esos comentarios.
Thank you so much for all of those comments.
Buenos días a todos los asistentes.
First of all, good morning to all of you here. It is a pleasure to participate in this event organized by the Inter-American Association of Intellectual Property, ACIPI, and to talk to you for a few minutes about the Madrid Protocol.
Caso de México,
In the case of Mexico, the Madrid Protocol started being effective in February 19th of 2003. The incorporation of Mexico considered the need to insert the country in the treaties of free commerce that were about to be celebrated. We wanted to have the standard that demanded the participation of our country
sociales.
in all of these commercial negotiations, mainly at that time in the TTP, the Trans-Pacific Treaty for Economic Cooperation.
Mexicano,
The arguments that we exposed to the Senate to ratify the Madrid Protocol, we showed, among other aspects, the growing trend of members in this agreement.
podemos ver que
In this slide, we can see that most of the countries and the economies that are part of the system are getting integrated into the Madrid system. Like the moderator mentioned, we are missing Chile. But if we take a look at it, in most of the region, the participation of the countries is growing in the system.
en la década de los 90
In the decade of 1990 and the beginning of the 2000s, it was considered inadequate in our country to be a part of the system for three reasons.
no era
Spanish wasn't an official work language. The IMPI, the Instituto Mexicano for Propiedad Industrial, didn't have the human resources, the technological capacity to face the times at that time and the requirements from the Madrid Protocol. I wanted our main commercial associates in Latin America. They were not part of the Madrid Protocol, so it meant imposing a charge to the Institute and our associates for something that was going to have very limited use. But as of 2010, the situation changed. Now Spanish is the official work language at the Institute, or actually the IMPI. You did have the technical and human capacity adequate to be able to face the commitments, and now it seemed almost imminent, the addition to the Madrid Protocol into the North American bloc. Technically, it was explained at the Senate the advantages that the protocol represented. For example, we would have only one request to be the basis to be able to
tendríamos una
reduce costs and procedures. We would have protection from international media, and we will be able to support our producers and service providers in the incorporation to the market of other regions, mainly North America and Europe.
se tuvo que hacer
Also, we needed to do big work at the Institute to be able to face this addition. The most important thing was to update the informatic systems. It requires a lot of effort to be able to have top-notch technology, and we also had to train the users at the institute of the systems, meaning the public servers and the users of the system, those that were going to present the brands in a traditional way, try to convince them to use the Madrid Protocol.
curiosamente
Now,
señaló la ONU.
it's very curious, like IMPI said, after the pandemic, the conditions have changed. The IMPI highlights in their report of indicators that in the year of 2020, the number of brands have increased.
El número de solicitudes de
The
marzo
number of requests for brands
2000
during 2020,
en un 70
there was an increase of a 73% against 49% of the growth that happened in 2019. In the year of 2021 in Mexico, 80% of the brands until September
ha sido presentado en línea.
have been filed online. You can see here
Información en
how the transformation happened, but only 14% corresponds to the Madrid Protocol.
uno de los temas de discusión
One of the discussion topic among the users of the system, at least in Mexico, is why so few people in Mexico use the Madrid Protocol. If we see here in those requests used by the Madrid Protocol, we have 20,418. But in contrast to this, we only have 98 requests filed by Mexicans.
Creo que aquí es el punto popular.
I think this is the main point we need to analyze here, and we need to analyze why this is happening.
Sin embargo, financieramente,
However, financially speaking, it is a very good business for the Office of Intellectual Property. These are the numbers that were presented. I think the representative is not 2021 because we haven't finished yet, but in the year of 2020, we received 82,865 pesos, equivalent to approximately $4 million.
es una buena.
So financially, it is a very good income for the institute, and this is the interesting part. And I think this is one of the explanations as to why the system is not so much utilized in Mexico. In this graph, we can see the interest of the Mexican entrepreneurs. 28% goes to Latin America, 49% to Latin America, and 9% Europe, and the rest goes to the rest of the world. With the treaties for free commerce that we have in Mexico, a lot of those company owners have dedicated to the commercialization of products, and their only market is the U.S.
No voy a usar el sistema del
So basically, they say, I'm not going to use the protocol if I'm only going to register my brand in Mexico and the US. However, I have an entire potential market. These are the companies that are really the ones that we are interested in this seminary. We have over 1,000 companies that have interest in Latin America. But what happens? Like I presented it in the map, not the entire subregion of Latin America. It's a part of the Madrid Protocol. So the numbers of requests from Mexicans are very limited because of that. With the recent additions that we are having, I'm pretty sure that the number of requests in Mexico is going to grow and it's going to become more attractive. I continually hear the company owners in Mexico to let them know, please talk to your colleagues in the region so more and more companies can be added.
Latina.
We need to remember that in Latin America, these adhesions are relatively new. Like the moderator was saying before, the country that first started using it was Cuba, then Colombia, then Mexico, now we have Brazil.
Un potencial
So we have a very big potential there.
utilización del
The number or the use of the Madrid Protocol, I think we shouldn't be looking only at the number of requests that are filed,
de nuestros países.
but at the specific situation in our countries. We have potential in the region, and we need to explore it a lot more. If all of the countries in the region form part of the protocol, like it's the case of the Asian subcontinent, undoubtedly the amount of requests will increase and the growth will be more dynamic. Like I mentioned before, and you all know this, the pandemic has changed the way we work. Now everything is done online. Most of the countries are already working online, and we have new companies that emerged due to the pandemic. We have an entire creative industry that requires protection, not just in the country of origin. It's without a doubt, the protection of these types of industry is international, and the potential market for a lot of the Mexican companies is Latin America. If we combine efforts among the users of the system and the authorities, I'm pretty sure we can strengthen the system. At the beginning of my administration as the general director of IMPI, I talked to some of the attorneys that are there, and I was letting them know that the system of intellectual property is created by every one of us. Attorneys, in the case of Mexico, have a very big role. If we work hand in hand, I'm pretty sure we can strengthen and make the system more dynamic. And considering the potential that they represent in the creative industry and the adhesions in Latin America, I'm pretty sure we can all do better and strengthen the system. Thank you very much. Thank you, attorney.
Bueno, le damos la palabra ahora.
Now we give the floor to Chile.
En este caso les presento a
In this case, I will introduce you to Sofía Covarrubias. She is an attorney from the University of the Andes. For her first years, she worked as an attorney in the legal department of an insurance company, where, among other things, she was in charge of the protection of intellectual property and the protection of consumers. Later on, she started working at the Covarrubias study, where she is responsible for the coordination of the entire department of brands, both national and internationally. She is dedicated to all kind of things in regards to litigation, registration, litigation of commercial brands, dominion names, both in Chile and abroad. On top of that, she gives legal advice in regards to everything that has to do with sealing of products.
Sofía.
So I give the floor to Sofía. Thank you very much, Jorge. Thank you very much for the invitation, and good morning, everyone. In Chile, I was hearing about the implementation of the Madrid Protocol from many years ago, but it wasn't until recently, in the year of 2020, that through an initiative in our brand office in IMPI, in conjunction with the Ministry of Economy, that they initiated the process of accepting the ratification of the protocol. The process was very brief. It started in December of 2020 when they started the first constitutional process. Then in January 2021, it was approved by the first chamber, both the project, the general project, and the particular one. And in May of 2021, it was approved by our Senate. The idea is to deposit the ratification for it to start being effective in March of 2022. And here I think that all of the people that participate in brand protection in Chile have a really big task ahead of us. Very recently in Chile, they also accepted a new law for industrial property that contemplates new figures, that we missed since a long time ago in our litigation. And now that's going to start being active in January. We are going to start the law in January and the implementation of the protocol in January as well. Here we can see challenges and opportunities that we are going to have in Chile. In regards to the brand office, I think every one of us that have had any kind of relationship with the brand office or that has had to do some kind of process in Chile, we are certain that it is a good office. It is very efficient. Since a long time ago, we have had completely digitalized procedures in the registration of brands, which have helped for a process in Chile to be very quick. The process of registration, if we don't have any kind of observations or objections or oppositions, takes about 5 to 7 months, sometimes even less than that. And, having a second instance, we can have it even before a year. I think the first big challenge the office is going to face is to keep this efficiency and keep our reputation up, because how the attorney was saying before, obviously, you need to have the human resources, the software. You need to be well prepared to receive all of that, because, yes, if we have an increase of 30 to 40% of the amount of requests, then we also have to keep up. We need to keep up the efficiency in the registration process. Another challenge that I see could come to authorship is to broaden certain criteria. Yes, the process of registration through IMPI is a request. From what I have researched, once it goes to one of those countries, it's processed according to the national legislation, which is very good. However, both the authorities and attorneys, we cannot really impose roadblocks that sometimes are unnecessary for the process. But this will be good. And I think it's already working. Once Chile accepted to use the protocol, it helped us show ourselves as a country. At the end, the world is working towards globalization. And if we want to keep moving forward with the time and with the world, we need to keep showing that we are a country that is capable, and to look at us as another territory where you can invest and where you can do trading of products and goods from companies that maybe at a different point didn't look at us as an alternative.
la misma solicitud, que es
meaning they can see within the same request that it is possible to do a procedure that is a little bit simplified within the country. That could be a really good, attractive proposal for investment from a company or another continent that in another time wouldn't have thought of us as an alternative. In regards to Chilean companies,
de los grandes desafíos.
one of the big challenges that they have been facing since a long time ago and that we have actually gotten better at is to give more importance to the topic of brands. I think all of us here know it's very important to register your brand. It's not okay to commercialize a product without having a registered brand. But sometimes, at least in my country, it occurs that you leave that to the end.
Empiezan a comercializar y ahí sí se
They start commercializing products without registering the brand, and then you can have a problem. By having a lot of competency in the same registration, I think the companies in Chile are going to realize how important it is to have a registration, not just to not have your product copied,
de terceros,
but also because you can't.
que vayan viendo
Basically, they cannot infringe any rights. I think this is going to be good
en el resto del mundo.
for them to see how important it is to register your brand in the rest of the world, like in the case of the US and Europe. Also, obviously,
Yo veo
one of the big benefits that I think is going to happen is the simplification of the process for brand protection. I don't know if it happens to you, but to me, when you have a client from Chile, not a very big company, maybe a medium-sized company, even a small company,
quieren abrirse
they want to open themselves to the external market. But when I explain to them how the process is going to happen, that we need to file a request on each of the countries. Yes, I do try to simplify it, but many times this scares the company a little
algo como muy largo.
because they think it's very long, it's very tiresome, and I think the same protocol can help us.
Sí, lo voy a retomar el próximo año y de repente
Many of these companies shy away from getting registered because they think the process is too tiresome, it's too long. So now,
una solicitud
when you tell them that maybe it only takes one request and it's going to be a lot easier, maybe that is going to make them, want to take the chance.
o cuando ya no hay remedio.
And it's going to make them take action now and not leave that to the end. For
Simplificación
international companies, like I said before, they're going to have a simplified process and they are going to look at us as an alternative, especially like Europe or US. It's a country that's really far away, and now they are going to see that we exist, that they can register their brand, that it's not complicated, and that they can come into our market, even invest in our country. And those are benefits that we can all take advantage of.
y aquí los retos
Finally, and here the challenges and opportunities, and I am inside of this, is for the attorneys and people that work in intellectual property.
aquí, como yo les digo, para no
Here, well, it's not easy in Chile. We are learning a new law.
tener que
On top of that, we're going to have to learn everything about this new process. We need to learn, we need to know it, and we need to apply it.
esta nueva alternativa
We don't do, it's not enough with having this new alternative and not support it and not look at it as an alternative. It's a new service, it's a new strategy of registration that we can offer to those people and companies that need it.
también creo que se nos
And also, I think we can have the opportunity of knowing more about processes, resolutions, strategies outside in the world.
de la experiencia
A lot of times, knowing about the experiences or processes in other countries can help us implement it in our countries.
como yo les comentaba,
Like I was telling you before, we are in a phase of preparation in Chile.
personalmente como lo he
Personally, what have I done to prepare myself? Well, I took the course from the IMPI.
tirado
I went to webinars.
con colegas,
Also, I talked to colleagues.
he preguntado a muchos colegas en los cuales
I have asked many questions to many colleagues from other countries where the Madrid Protocol has already been implemented. Obviously, more Latin American countries because they are closer to my own reality, and they have helped me strengthen our firm, what things they have helped me know, what things we need to strengthen in our firm, what ideas I can add to the softwares, how to use and how to take advantage of the Madrid Protocol.
Una relación
Also, I have a very close relationship with the brand office in Chile, and like I was telling you before, it is very open to the users. Recently, they were telling me that yes, they are right now working in the implementation of the new law. By January and February, they want to start giving courses to see how we are going to bring this process home in Chile,
empezar en marzo.
so we can start implementing the system in March without any more problems.
Muchas gracias, Sofía.
Thank you very much, Sofía.
Ya estás frente al protocolo en unos meses.
So you are going to be using the protocol in a few months.
Aprendizaje.
And you talked about learning.
Hay que tomar muchos
Without a shadow of a doubt, we need to take a lot more courses, university courses, courses everywhere, and not just for 1 year, for a lot more, because learning the Madrid Protocol
difícil.
is it's hard work. You need to work a lot. You need to be very well prepared because all of these rules and regulations are very deep and very complex. You can, we will do it at the end, but we need to start the process.
Siempre pensaba que
At this point, I always thought that sometimes the theory is a lot easier than the practice, because implementing, creating a software that is useful, that is easy to understand, that is understood by the entire team, and for us to explain it to the people that we are counseling is not easy work. It's not easy work, but we can't stop. Thank you very much, Sofía. Finally, the last panelist is Rafael Atab. Rafael is an associate from Dannemann Siemsen.
También es presidente.
He is also the president of the Permanent Committee of ADR from the International Association for the Protection of Intellectual Property, IPPI. He is the coordinator
Del Comité Permanente.
of the Permanent Committee of Brands from the Brazilian Association of Intellectual Property, ABPI, and he is a national journalist from the National Group of IPPI, ABPI. He's been recommended by the Brand Guide and Commercials WRT,
Trademark.
the world leading trademark professionals. In the editions of 2020 and 2021, he has a master's in international law from the University of Rio de Janeiro, and he is a professor of the postgrad course in rights of intellectual property from the Pontificia Universidad Católica in Rio de Janeiro, PUC,
Bienvenido.
from Rio. Welcome, and thank you for accepting this invitation.
Well, buenos días.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for the invitation to be able to speak a little bit about the Madrid Protocol. First of all, I'm going to ask you, I'm going to apologize because I'm going to speak in English, because yesterday Maria Barrios said it's not about informing, it's about communicating. If I start talking in Spanish here, I'm not going to communicate anything.
Entonces, bueno,
So if I want to communicate, so I'm going to switch to English now.
otra cosa también, claramente,
Something else is that clearly we have to learn. That is the first challenge, to learn the protocol. It's very hard. It's not simple.
intentar y una vez un socio mío me miró
One time, an associate of mine looked at me and told me, when I look at you, I think in protocol.
y dice, ¿es malo o bueno?
And I asked him, is that good or bad?
Piensan en protocolo.
Because when you think about protocol, sometimes you think about business laws.
No, pero me dijo,
He told me,
protocolo tiene alguna
I think about the protocol because I know you know the protocol. So if I have any questions, I know who to go to.
es una oportunidad
And I think it's an opportunity to learn, an opportunity to offer to your customers, to your clients,
como una
the use of the protocol as a strategic tool and not just an alternative.
Sin más, let's go presentation. Well, as it has been said already here, it's still a work in progress in the Americas. We did have Cuba in the 90s, but after the USA has joined in 2003, I think the pressure started as all the other Latin American countries would have to join as well. And this has been a trend, and I think now with Chile, it's very well established, and I can only say that we have to be prepared, we have to learn, and we have to take advantage of it. So, well, some key figures that have already been presented with Mexico and well, Colombia. This is from WIPO. WIPO is an amazing source of information. If you want anything, you can get to the website. It's very up-to-date with courses, as Sofía has said, but also with information on the figures. And of course, if you're thinking about your clients, they do have a list of the major applicants and registrants, so you should check it out and see if your clients are in that list. Well, when it comes to Brazil, the very first full year of the Madrid Protocol was 2020. We had the pandemic and we had Madrid Protocol. We had in the very first full year almost 10,000 new BR designations. And when it came to Brazilians filing abroad seeking protection through Madrid Protocol, we had almost 139 applications. This imbalance is expected. We have all seen that. It's because everybody's looking at you as a new market, and you have to face it. But that's an important figure right now. In 2018, we had approximately 28,000 applications filed by foreign companies. When it came to 2020, we had, of course, Brazil, as you might know it, we are not traditionally a multi-class country, so we use one single class for each application. So that's why the 28,000 for foreign applicants. And there's an average of 2.4 classes for each Brazilian designation. So if you do the math, we come to 22,000 applications coming from the protocol, which would impress us by, oh my God, 80% is now coming from through Madrid Protocol. That's a very impressive number. It's partially true, but at the same time, when you look at the figures, we don't have an official figure yet from the Brazilian Trademark Office, but non-officially figure is that we had in the same year of 2020, 14,000 national applications, not through Madrid, national applications. The total would be 37,000, which would end up with an increase of 30% of applications coming to Brazil, which is then an opportunity. Of course, if it's a higher number of people seeking protection in Brazil, it could be an opportunity. But the business, of course, will change. And I must here thank Laura. She was in Brazil, Laura Colada, she was in Brazil in 2018, doing what I'm doing right now. And she said, you have to go fishing. And that's true. You have to learn Madrid Protocol, and you have to change the way you do things. That's for sure. And what's that, go fishing? You have to go to your client, and you have to say, do you use it? I can help you. You cannot fight it. You have just to change how you do things. Thank you, Laura, for that. So far, from 2019 to 2021, we had approximately 20,000 Brazilian designations, but only 7,000 decisions. And that's an important issue. Sofía addressed it, which is an impact on how things go with the office. And this smells like backlog, unfortunately. And one of the issues that caused this was mentioned by Licenciado was that the Madrid Protocol always also brings a number of challenges in the IT department of the office. We had to change when it came to multi-class. We had to change about co-ownership that we didn't have. So all these changes must be implemented in the IT department of the office. So this can slow things down. And when things slow down, we are faced with the issue of the time limit of 18 months for the decision to be issued by the office under penalty of an automatic granting of protection. We already have spotted a couple of issues with that, and at the end of the day, this is a challenge for the applicant, for the foreign applicant, because when the time limit expires, we don't actually know if the trademark is actually protected or not, because will a court enforce it? The BPTO has not decided. Well, we don't know. Well, this is also from WIPO. Brazil was expected to be in the first year between Turkey and Norway. As you can see, despite the pandemic, Brazilian accession to the Madrid Protocol was quite a success. So very high, almost 1,000 more designations than the BPTO expected, which also impacts the way that they were preparing themselves to handle everything. This is the number of international applications leaving Brazil. And when you, of course, this is only the middle income countries, taking out Russia and China. So Brazil is quite well right now in the first year. Let's see how things go. It's a small number, of course, but when you look at countries that are that have the same average economic background, you can see also an opportunity for local applicants. And well, this second part, I'll try to be brief, but this second part is important, I think, for the countries that have not yet joined. I'll bring the experience from Brazil, how things are going right now, but as you know, I don't know what happened in Chile, but the country may issue some disclaimers on what they accept or not in certain parts of the Madrid Protocol. And if Madrid Protocol is still being discussed in your country and you have the opportunity to discuss the advantages or disadvantages of a certain provision, as we will see right now, it's the time that you should do it, because after it's approved, there's no possibility to change. And this is an important issue. This comes from a disclaimer that Brazil did, and the question is, well, for the foreign applicants, and this we get it a lot. I have an existing international registration granted before October 2nd, 2019, which was the date Brazil acceded to officially acceded to Madrid Protocol. So, can I add Brazil as a subsequent designation in my international registration? As you know, one of the advantages of the international registration is that you can keep adding countries. But as Brazil has disclaimed the aspect, they said no, you can only designate Brazil for international registrations granted after Brazil acceded to the protocol. So all this amount of international registration that were already sitting there without Brazil, you cannot add Brazil. I can only imagine what would have happened with this success if those companies were also able to add Brazil to those previous existing registrations. WIPO usually and typically says that this is not an issue, but I'm really skeptical about that. This is something else. If your country already has this the second payment of final fees, you first have the filing fees, and then you have the final registration fees as a confirmation that the applicant is interested in securing the registration, you can keep it. And Brazil has done that. So, and your client should be aware of that, because almost no country has that kind of way to do things, of procedure. Right now, Japan is one of the major countries that still do that, but not all countries do that. So Brazil is different, it's a peculiarity, and that's something that is possible to keep if you already do it. This is also a disclaimer that has been done. Can I record a license agreement with WIPO, a trademark license agreement with WIPO? That's usually a possibility. Madrid Protocol accepts that. Countries may record trademark licenses directly with WIPO, as they would record a change of address, a change of ownership. But Brazil has disclaimed that. No, we won't accept it. If you want to record a license agreement, also addressing, including a Brazilian designation, you still have to do that. You still have to do that with the Brazilian Trademark Office. This has some impacts on the sending of money abroad for license royalties, and there are also other considerations that have been taken into account in Brazil. Might be a very peculiar aspect, but that's something that you can do as well. Your countries can do it. Well, earlier today, we listened to our colleagues talking about infringement and counterfeiting and online platforms. And many online platforms, when you go into those online programs, they do require a certificate of registration of a trademark if you want to protect your trademark. So Brazilian Patent Office was sensitive about it because it happens in Brazil a lot, and decided to issue a specific certificate in Portuguese. The problem is that right now, although the national applications tend to take approximately the same time for the decisions, there is still a delay, and a much greater delay when it comes to issuance, because no certificate has been issued so far, and also because of the IT issues. So if you wanted to do things fast, you still have to resort to the local application. We are trying to solve that. Brazilian Patent and Trademark Office is still trying to solve that. But if you want to do things fast, unfortunately, you still have to go through the national stage. That's also a peculiar thing about Brazil. I don't know how it happens in other countries, but it increased responsibility of the foreign councils when they use Madrid Protocol and they come to Brazil. And it also reflects on the responsibility of local councils using Madrid Protocol for their own clients, because you are now, if you use Madrid Protocol for your client, you are now responsible for all the deadlines abroad. You have to know them. Is there a deadline for a statement of use? You should know when it should be presented. So in Brazil, theoretically, if you're filing in the future, Sofía, a Chilean application and seeking Madrid Protocol, and you designate Brazil, please be aware that the Brazilian Patent and Trademark Office will not be advising you that an opposition has been filed against that application. You theoretically have to follow the weekly magazine of the BPTO, or you can discuss this with the local council and try to have them work together with you. You watch theirs, they watch yours. It can be done. And that's why sometimes you have to get closer also to your colleagues everywhere. You have to help each other. On the other hand, of course, when it comes to provisional refusals, the Brazilian office, alongside with all the other offices, they inform WIPO about it, and then the decision is sent to the representatives or to the applicants. But of course, if they have to go, to the local office to take an appeal, to respond to an office action, they would need to have a local representative. So the big question in Brazil is always, well, do I really need to have a local representative? As I said, it depends. When it comes to responding directly to the office, to an office action, or to take an appeal, similar to what happens everywhere else, I think it's the same with Mexico and Colombia, and it will probably be with Chile, you need to have a local representative. The problem is that our law still has a provision that requires a local representative for any trademark registration existing in Brazil, with the power to be served by court, with the power to receive summons. And that's not because IP lawyers have implemented that in that particular law. That's a tradition in Brazil when it comes to a foreigner having a local asset. It's the same with real estate. It's the same with companies. If you are a foreigner and you are a partner, or if you own shares in a local limited company, you do have to have a local representative to receive summons from court. That's because courts in Brazil can be very formalistic when it comes to servicing a lawsuit, and it can be very burdensome and in this case, to the trademark holder involved in the case and trying to initiate a dispute against another trademark holder. But anyway, we don't know what's going to happen with that with courts, how courts would still visualize the conflict between the provisions in the Madrid Protocol and the provisions in the local law. That's a future challenge we still need to face, but at the end of the day, ask for help from a Brazilian colleague. I'm sure they will be there for you. I'm sure this will be the same in any other country here in Latin America. We have to help each other. I think that's the message. So just to close, I think probably I have gone beyond my time, but just a final attention to everybody. When it comes to using Madrid Protocol for your own clients, there is a major increase in responsibility of the local agent. And I think that's the biggest challenge for us, for local agents. Because you usually don't rely on your corresponsales or on your associated colleagues, on perhaps following up deadlines, learning local practice, adopting a description of goods that would not face an office action. You foreclose that. You don't use that anymore, and you have to take this responsibility. So this is also a big responsibility. But on the other hand, there could also be an increased number of trademark applications, and although in the first year that could be a problem because there will be an increase in the number of applications, and there will be no decisions. So this could be problematic to the business. When everything comes to a normal life, you can focus on trying to increase your business back again. It's not the same. It won't be the same, but you have to do your best, and perhaps you have to go fishing. So with that, thank you so much. And, well, now the questions, perhaps. Thank you.
Muchas gracias, Rafael, muchas gracias. Oyéndolos a ustedes tres, no pude evitar recordar, si no me equivoco,
Hearing you talk, I couldn't help but remembering, I think it was in the year of 1995,
nuestro Congreso de
the main topic of our RCP
Salvador,
Congress in the Republic of El Salvador was the Madrid Protocol.
de Madrid como aquel demonio.
They looked at the Madrid Protocol as a demon that was slowly getting close to all of us. Today, the opinion has changed a lot. Now we are facing a reality coming from the year of 1995 until today, with a lot of Latin American countries
Brasil,
like Brazil, Mexico, Colombia,
llegará,
now ready to go to Chile.
que prepararnos.
So we have to get ready. All of us have to get ready for the future to help one another without a doubt.
En esta semana
And I recommend that in this week, you keep
práctica
expecting the publication of a practical guide for the adoption of the Madrid Protocol that we have published in ASIPI.
años de estudio
And this is a result of many years of study on the Madrid Protocol and the reality
poniendo poco
that is imposing
como consecuencia
little by little as a consequence
globalizaciones
of the concept of globalization.
internacionales.
Globalization with the international conventions. One of the most important ones for us in the field of intellectual property, industrial property, and especially with trademarks
Globalización significa
is globalization. Globalization means Madrid Protocol, so you need to know how to work with it. Please, I invite you to ask questions if you have any questions.
formular las primeras.
Anybody?
Ricardo, por favor.
Ricardo, please go ahead.
Obviamente a la diferencia o la
Due to the difference or the gap in the development,
forma en
is there a way
despachos, el phishing,
that on top of the phishing that you talked about and trying to counsel your client, guide your client, is there another way for the countries to incentivize the use of the Madrid Protocol,
ventajas fiscales,
like tax advantages,
plantearse con el sector
or anything else that you can talk about with the private sector to incentivize the use of the protocol? Who is that question for? Any one of the three?
Bueno, en primer lugar,
First of all, like I mentioned,
la utilización que es real de nuestros empresarios en Latinoamérica se debe a varias condiciones.
so the subutilization of the company owners in Latin America is due to several reasons. I think in our case, we need to share the advantages of the system and train people on the use of the system.
Lo que no es el
I know this is not going to be easy,
usuario.
but if we help the user in the procedure and the guide and the presentation of the application, I'm pretty sure that the use is going to be increasing.
Que tarde o temprano
And more countries are going to be added to the protocol. I think that's going to increase the use. I think this is going to be a very big tool in the country, in the region.
10 años
Maybe in 10 years, we started in 95, maybe in 10 years, we're going to have that system extended to the entire region. And with more training, I think this sub-utilization is going to be reversed. That's what we are seeing in Mexico. We are doing whatever training is needed on the system.
¿Alguno de ustedes dos quisiera
Any one of you would like to comment on that as well?
por a poco. Creo que es diferencia
I think the difference is going to be there always.
a tener solicitud en
We're not going to have, the same applications, the same number of applications like in China or in the U.S.
utilizar las-
But like my colleague said, we have to learn the use of this new tool.
tal vez quizás enseñar a tu cliente
Maybe just
o disponible
teach your client that, that's something that is available.
espacio
You have to do it gradually, slowly.
hacerlo todo
It's not going to be possible to do it all at once.
en mi opinión.
But in my opinion, there will always be that gap.
Y esa pregunta de Ricardo me lleva a mí a pensar en
Ricardo reminded me, this is a question for the attorney.
¿Tienen algún estudio se ha hecho en
Do you have any kind of studies? Have you done any kind of studies in Mexico to help determine if that amount of brands, the gap that came to Mexico and that are protected in Mexico, are those being used effectively?
están ahí como por llenar los archivos?
Or are they just there, to fill the gap and to prevent other brands from coming in? I ask you because we don't have that study in Colombia, at least not that I have seen. But in my office, I have done a follow-up on the very, very few brands that are
Colombianos
requested, that have been requested from Colombian entrepreneurs and that go abroad.
en Pandemia. Sí, claro, en pandemia.
When I did that, and that was also during the pandemic, I found 90% of the brands,
Marcas colombianas
of Colombian brands,
protegidas
that had been requested and protected
en aquellos países que estaban.
in those countries where they were designed to, they were being used. I found it online. They were being used.
Ese estudio que yo estoy
You know, we don't have that study in Colombia. Do you have something like that in Mexico to know if really those brands are being used,
para cubrir
or if it's just a cover-up to cover and, you know, to prevent other people from taking my trademarks in Mexico?
llegan las al uso comercial.
Or actually, do those brands go to commercial use? Just like Colombia, in Mexico, we don't have a detailed study on the brands that are actually being used. But we have found that some companies,
Desde que México
before Mexico was was part of the Madrid Protocol, they were using domiciles abroad to be able to benefit the system, and they have used them, and they are still using them.
tengo las cifras de las que realmente se pueden usar.
I don't have the exact numbers after the Madrid Protocol, but I'm pretty sure that the big companies don't do it for brand protection. They do it to open up to the market. And if you allow me to go back a little bit to the previous question, I would like to say that actually the IMPI doesn't do like a discount or a tax advantage for people to use the protocol abroad. But some other government dependencies do try to help imports. They give credits. They do demand for the brand to be registered, obviously, in Mexico. If you are going to do exports, you need to have
Por ahí
the registration of the brand in the countries where they are going to be exported to. So I think that do serve as an incentive. But the problem we are facing is that not a lot of countries in the region are part of the protocol. So for the U.S., yes, they do. We do support the exporters with credits, and one of the requisites is the registration of the brand. Any other questions?
Martín, por favor.
Please, Martin.
Muchas gracias.
Thank you very much, and thank you all the three panelists for your expositions. Since the year of 95 until now, we have a very different picture. Apparently, the problem is not to share the benefits of this protocol.
Algunos de los arreglos de la Haya. El protocolo viene a hacer
I know the Madrid Protocol is going to complete an international system.
su opinión.
I want to hear your opinion on this.
Mercados.
I think the problem is going to be more the access to the markets, first of all. And second of all, there are so many treaties for free commerce, free trading.
La región,
How do we strengthen the region
comercio
to have a bigger trading in the region,
asiático
but also with Asian countries that are also members of the protocol?
y el arreglo para que haya una cultura más exportadora.
How do you incentivize a more exporting culture in our region so we don't have this underutilization of the treaties?
Esta estructura, este mecanismo, no faltará mucho que bajo el Tratado de Singapur
And under the Singapore Treaty,
o no sea tan a la vanguardia. Gracias.
hopefully it's not going to be so trendy anymore. Thank you.
¿Algún comentario sobre?
Any comments about that?
¿Alguna otra pregunta?
Any other questions?
Yo quisiera saber de parte.
I would like to know from Sofía, in regards to the trademark office in Chile, the INAPI,
Lideradas en las últimas
in the last few decades, it's been considered as one
eficacia,
of the most efficient ones. It's very efficient. It's very effective. It has a very good reputation.
¿Crees tú que esperan?
What do you think the authorities in Chile expect, and you as users, what do you think they're going to expect once the protocol is implemented, once the protocol is invading your offices? Are you going to be able to keep up with that?
La oficina.
I hope that we do.
Ellos siempre han sido muy
All of the authorities that work with this have already been very close to us, very supportive, helping the people that file directly, and us, the counselors, that represent the filers, the solicitants.
y son muy cercanos.
So yes, they work very close with us.
Trabajar.
I know that they are working a lot in the implementation of the system.
Ya lo que es el software de la oficina.
So like I was telling you before, with the software in the office, and you know, looking at a file in the office is very transparent. Anybody can see the status of an application, maybe not access to the file, but you can see what phase the filing is. So I think they're going to do very good, very well, and they are working on that. So yes, they are going to be launching a lot of courses for those of us that do counseling in this topic to implement the protocol. The idea is not just to go in and have just one more figure there that's not doing nothing. The idea is to be used and for us to be benefited by this. Any other questions? So we are out of questions.
Comment on what I think that that's what happened in Brazil. The office became very transparent. The office became very close to the local agents to try to create courses or to inform what was happening, how it was being done, and even their challenges. They shared what were their biggest challenges with us. And I think this transparency and this sort of learning together, because probably happening in Mexico as well, the office, the examiners, they need to learn it as well. So that's a challenge not only for the local office, the local agents, but also to the local examiners, the local officials. And if they don't work together, it won't work. So I'm glad to hear that that's happening in Chile, but because that was somewhat what happened in Brazil. We still have a lot of challenges. As I said, it takes longer if you use the protocol. We don't have certificates of registration regarding protocol. We're still struggling with implementing multi-class applications for national applications. We don't have it, only for those coming through the protocol because of the IT challenges. But if the office works with transparency, as Sofía said, and that's what happened in Brazil, probably that was what happened in Mexico, it helps a lot.
Okay. Thank you, Rafael. Muchísimas gracias.
Thank you very much, all of you, for your assistance.
Yo quisiera hacer una última reflexión. Algunos
I would like to say one last thing. Some of the colleagues here had to do the implementation of the Madrid Protocol in Mexico. And the question in 2012 is like, we thought a catastrophe was coming.
¿Qué pasó?
If I ask you today, what happened with the Madrid Protocol? Nothing happened. I mean, it changed the way it worked. There was no catastrophe for the Office of Industrial Property. We are still working. You simply change the way you work. But I think it's something that is not going to be able to be avoided nowadays. I'm pretty sure Chile is going to do wonderful work by what I'm hearing from the office. You're not going to have a lot of work just like we did in Brazil and Mexico. Nothing is going to happen. It's just a change in the way we work for everybody. Thank you very much for sharing.
No diría de mi parte que no pasa nada, pasa un poco.
I wouldn't say nothing is going to happen. Yes, something is going to happen, especially in the first 12 months. It's going to be very hard, just a heads up. But you have to change a little bit the way you work.
Lo que es posible arreglar.
And just fix whatever you need to fix.
Ahora sí tenemos otra pregunta.
We have another question now.
Hola, buenos días.
Hello, good morning, everybody. I am from Ecuador, and in Ecuador, we still have not implemented the protocol.
Se nota la tendencia.
But we can see that that is the trend. And at some point, like we're doing with the PCT Treaty for Patents, we all are going to have to get used to the new system. Like all of you have said, this is a topic that not only the firms have to get used to, but also the trademark offices in each one of the countries. And I would like to ask you if before the implementation, as a law firm or as, international organizations like a CP, IMPI, NPPI, did you work together with the intellectual properties in your countries to develop a strategy between the state and the private sector? Were there meetings? Were there discussions in regards to and what could you suggest us if you did have those countries that have not implemented the protocol yet? Thank you. I think there is someone that wants to answer that question. Enrique Díaz?
Gracias, Jorge. Alfredo.
Thank you, Jorge. Alfredo, thank you very much.
Y ahorita lo que señalaban.
I think what you said before is important. It's manifesting that the case in Mexico was very sui generis. I think the arrival of the Madrid Protocol in Mexico made the system be modified. It needed to be adapted and updated. But above everything, the recommendation will be for you to approach your local offices. I think the collaboration between the IMPI and the group of attorneys of intellectual property has been paramount to the benefit of changing the system, both to improve the system and also to be able to protect the income sources of the attorneys. But we have to say it as such. We have to work hand in hand.
Hoy por hoy, yo pese a haber sido
It is possible. And today,
sistema,
I was one of the big detractors of the Madrid Protocol openly. And I have to say that the result has been good. It's been good for the attorneys because we have had an opening from the authorities. They opened their doors to us. We have sat together. We have worked together. And I think today, thanks to many factors, nowadays we have the best system. But it is something that has been able to be achieved with time, little by little, moving forward, little by little. Don't stay behind. Don't get scared. Go to your authorities. Work together. It's the only way for you to be able to achieve that. I'm not telling you promote it or don't promote it. I'm not, getting into that. What I'm telling you is that in the case of Mexico, it's been very good, but because we have worked together with the authorities.
Públicamente, Alfredo.
And I publicly thank you for that, Alfredo. Thank you, Enrique. There is another question from Laura.
Hola, gracias.
Hello, thank you. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Thank you very much, Alfredo. And Rafael, thank you very much. I appreciate your comments a lot. Well, Enrique went ahead of me. In Mexico, it was very sui generis. The authorities, worked with us hand in hand, the Mexican Guild, but also the Mexican Guild did their part. We had a lot of seminaries. We shared a lot of information. Our association held seminaries, workshops. They really wanted us to learn the protocol. I wouldn't say it's not going to be a big deal. I said it in Brazil. The first year is tortuous because you have to change the way you've been doing things for 30 or 40 years. But we are resilient. We can change our ways. We have to approach the authorities and the clients. A lot of your clients are not going to do a national registration again. So you have to go with the client because let's say we tropicalize every time we implement the protocol in Latin America. But that tropicalization is being done by the state through the reservations or the protection that they do when they implement and they adhere to work. For example, Brazil and Mexico have very different issues. Maybe for them are positive, for us are negative, but the true thing is that the protocol is going to come and you have to be prepared. This is done with a lot of effort. Approach, as a guild, approach your authorities. You have to train your people in the protocol. But it's not catastrophic. All of the law firms in Mexico survived, and we're all doing well with the protocol. What changed was the way of working. So because of that resilience, get ready. Prepare yourself because, yes, not all of the Latin American economies are the same. It is going to come to our region. You just can't be negative. You can't be a pessimist. Like, I went to Brazil to try and convince them that it's not the end of the world. What we need here is a change in attitude, a mindset change. Martin said, at the time of the PCT, everybody was scared to death and nothing happened. So my recommendation is just what Enrique said. Approach your authorities, also your national association. Ask them to do courses to prepare you, to train you, learn the protocol. Those of us that are already working with this, write to us, ask questions.
Smooth entrance
I think there can be a very smooth entrance into the protocol without any catastrophes. That is all I wanted to add.
Es cierto que en México
Yes, it is true that in Mexico there is support to the exporters, but that happens through different authorities. And that also can change in your countries, maybe have some support with the exporters, with tax incentives and all of that, et cetera, et cetera. But
los grandes
our clients, our big clients, they use the protocol, and we all had to use it. That's all. Thank you very much. Thank you, Laura. Laura said, and Enrique said,
hay que trabajar juntos.
Exactly what I think. You have to work together with your office. The firms, the offices, they all have to work together with the associations, the local associations. You have a very big role in that.
Opinion.
That's my opinion.
Sí, de acuerdo. Emilia, por favor.
Please, Emilia.
Buenos días a todos.
Thank you. Good morning, everybody. Very briefly, I just wanted to tell you, I'm a representative from a company, I have a client.
Y desde mi punto de vista, bueno,
And from my point of view, well,
el protocolo,
we use the protocol, all of that, the Madrid Protocol. Like you said at the beginning, Cuba is a pioneer in the use of a Madrid Protocol.
yo desde que comencé
And because of that, ever since I started working in industrial property, I've always been familiar with it.
en el curso de propiedad industrial,
In college, in the course of industrial property, they teach you about the Madrid Protocol, the arrangement, the protocol, all the countries. So ever since the students go to law school, they are familiar with the system.
Trivial para las empresas exportadoras.
It is really trivial for exporting companies to use the system.
Oficina, siempre en los cursos, los seminarios.
So in all of the course, there's always been a lot of training with courses, seminaries, workshops. And I say this is my experience.
La propia oficina capacita.
The office has some training as well. If I go directly to the office to file an application, I fill out my form, etc. There are people there that are dedicated to that. They review the form, they check it.
Calculó debidamente.
They check if you made the right calculations, all of that, and it's always worked well, and it's been okay. I really like that because if I'm interested in other countries, I just file an extension to a new country.
Muy fácil la solicitud.
And now the application is very easy.
Bien, nosotros sí tenemos dificultades siempre con los pagos.
We always have difficulties with the payments, and that is why we use the help of an external firm to pay IMPI. They have an account with IMPI, and then they follow up with us with whatever rejection, like temporary rejections and all of that.
Bastante solicitudes.
And in that way, we are able to work on our applications. We have a lot of applications and registrations using the Madrid Protocol. The experience as client, as a company, has been very good.
Es lo primero que pensamos cuando vamos a registrar.
It is the first thing we think of when we are going to register a brand. We use the Madrid Protocol. And then, of course, the countries that are not member of the protocol and that we have commercial interest on, well, we do the international applications.
Las ventajas. Desde el punto de vista de la oficina.
But it has a lot of advantages and it's very easy. Well, from the point of view of the office, I know it's a lot of work for the office. And when there are delays in the office, you always prioritize the Madrid Protocol because sometimes I go there to ask them, why there's been a delay in an application. They always tell me, okay, so the reasons for the delay is this and this and that. For example, right now, we are delayed because of the pandemic, and their top priority is the Madrid Protocol.
Sistema de Madrid. Quería decirles eso, bueno, como experiencia y por supuesto.
I just wanted to share that as my experience with you. And like I said, I'm very happy and thankful for all of the countries from our region to be added to the protocol.
Pues tenemos que utilizar esta.
As long as we work in intellectual property, we have to use all of these tools that make it simpler to do our jobs. Thank you, Emilia. Only the Cuban people have had the privilege to have that class in college.
Y ahí vamos aprendiendo. Bueno, muchas gracias. No quiero despedir.
Thank you very much.
Se despide, pocas ganas de irse. Quisiéramos quedarnos, pero ya es siempre.
I'm not going to say goodbye anymore, but it's already time to go. Any other questions? No? Thank you very much. I would like to especially thank our three guests for sharing their experiences and expectations with us. Thank you very much.